It's Tom Hardy as Bane when he's like, "You merely live in the darkness, I was born in it." Such a line. Hi, I'm David Jonsson and these are my film firsts with BAFTA. The first film I remember seeing ever was probably Snow White. The original, obviously, I'm not that young. But I remember being really moved by it. I'm not really massively into musicals, but the songs in it are just brilliant. And when she dies by eating the apple, it was weirdly scary and emotional and all the things that I now love in film. So thanks Snow White for giving me my taste. It's obviously going to be I Ho. Don't make me sing it, but we all know it. Yeah. The first film I watched at a young age that I know I shouldn't have seen it was probably Irreversible by Gaspar Noé. I don't even know how I watched it. I think my brother might have had it on like DVD and I snuck into his backpack and put it on and it just, it's amazing. No, it truly is actually amazing. It's brilliant filmmaking and it has stuff in it that I didn't know you can do in film. I don't know, there's something about pushing boundaries that kind of obsessed me a bit as an actor. So I shouldn't have seen it, but I'm happy I did.
How old were you?
Oh, I cannot tell you the age because I'm pretty sure someone's going to get in trouble, whether that's my parents or the filmmakers. Everyone's good. I'm happy and I'm well. I have no trauma that you know of. Okay, the first film I got really obsessed with, you know, film, I grew up on film. My dad showed me loads of film. Part of our ritual was going to a cinema in West End and then going to get KFC afterwards, which is like some of my most special times that I cherish. But actually my education in film came after, you know. I remember watching Dead Man's Shoes by Meadows and I just became obsessed with that. It felt like a complete slice of life that I didn't know but felt like I knew, you know what I mean? And there's something about that filmmaking that's just amazing. I love all Shane Meadows films, but that one, Paddy Considine in that is amazing. Toby Kebbell, everyone's just brilliant. So yeah, you know, I'm really interested in finding stories that shine a light on what Britain is today. You know, I think that's what that film did. And when you kind of line them up, you kind of go, oh, this is our evolution. You know, this is England, Dead Man's Shoes. You know, like he's doing something about his Britain, which feels like my Britain, and feels like ways that we can like improve and things that are like we're really proud of. Yeah, Britain's always going to be home to me, so that's a good one.
Is there a moment from Dead Man's Shoes
Do you know?
stands out? I ask because I've got one in particular. I'm curious if it's the same.
Okay, right. There are so many moments in Dead Man's Shoes that really, really move me. My one is when he's meeting, Paddy Considine's character's meeting the gang for the first time, and he stood in front of him, it's like pouring rain, and the guy's like, "You're not scared of me, are you?" And he looks at him and he just goes, and I just went, hang on a minute. That's acting. That's good acting. That, do you know what I mean? Do you know that moment I'm talking about? Yeah, that's the one. All right, good. The first film I saw that made me think I want to act was Malcolm X. Yeah, it was Denzel in Malcolm X. I said, you know, this is a marrying of art, politics, and like social realism. There's something amazing that film can do, isn't it? It is the old adage of showing a mirror to people, and when you can get that right and not make me like scared at my reflection, or even do that, sometimes it's just good. I think that movie just does it so brilliantly, and his performance is otherworldly. So yeah. The first TV character I was obsessed with, it's a toss-up between Tony Soprano and Stringer Bell from The Wire. Do you know what I mean? There is something about these obsessive characters, like when you're given, it's a complete gift. And, you know, they just both got it in spades, man. I think that those characters are haunting. And yeah, I love him.
What was the first film that reduced you to tears?
Oh, that's really hard. I cry at everything. I'm really emotional. I've got to stop it. No, the first film I remember, reducing me to tears was Lady Sings the Blues. I don't know, man. There's just something about that performance for me that's just, I don't know, kind of weirdly reminds me of my mum, even though she's never sang a day in her life. Yeah, when films do that, reflects something in your life, you can't help but picture that person. So I think I always, saw her as my mum. So it made me cry a little bit.
Do you go back to that film and rewatch it?
Absolutely. That film for me is, I've got like a handful of films that I keep on DVD. So I travel with DVDs hoping that the hotel or Airbnb I'm staying in has a DVD player, just in case I need to watch What Good Is. I often forget what good is sometimes, and I hope for it. And these performances just remind me, okay, this is on track.
What are those DVDs?
I'll give you a few. I'll give you a few of them because, yeah, they're good. It's Dead Man's Shoes. It's A Room for Romeo Brass. It's Nil by Mouth. It's Malcolm X. It's Fences. And that's all I'll give you for now. I'm just going to start taking all my DVDs. I can't have that. The first quote that stuck with me, really stuck with me actually, is probably in Batman. It's Tom Hardy as Bane when he's like, "You merely live in the darkness, I was born in it." Such a line. It's such a G line. That's a good line.
It tells you everything about the character.
It's just brilliant. I mean, you know what, that script as well, man, it's just, good screenplays are hard to come by. And when you get them, you got to just give them all the props. So shout out to Chris Nolan and all the rest of the team that worked on that. Chef's kiss. The first, it's weird, I didn't really get into acting until later actually. But the first thing I remember acting in was a school production of Cabaret. I was the MC, which is so not my casting, but I also don't think I really have a casting. So I just had a really good time singing the songs and like grinding on people. It's my special skill apparently, so that. My first film audition, I spent a lot of time in theatre before I even touched film, so that's not my first point of call, but my first film audition was Wasteman. I read the script. I only wanted to do theatre after I left school just because I wanted to focus on that discipline, which is what taught me so much about not just craft, but the love of acting, everything. And then my agent said, "I know you just want to do theatre, but take a look at the script." And I did, and I thought it was amazing. So I went into the audition room with like a tattoo on my neck, and my girlfriend at the time drew it, and I remember going in, the casting director threw a punch at me, I threw like a chair at him, I thought I nailed it, and then I heard nothing. And I thought I was just bad, but little did I know the film fell apart. Making movies is just so hard. And when, you kind of keep going as an actor and you start to get maybe a little bit of traction, I kind of like found it again. And the filmmaker was just waiting to make it right. And actually the role wasn't written for me at all. It was written for like a 40-year-old white man. And we adapted it and changed it and made it feel actually much more urgent. I love that movie. I'm very proud of that movie. Not just because it was my first film audition, but because it was also the first film I got to produce. So it feels very, very, very special and weirdly full circle. So, yeah. When I first read the script for Wasteman, it really felt like a slice of life, a life that I didn't know, but also felt like I did. I know a lot of people that have been to prison, and prison affects all of us, whether we like it or not. It's where we put our taxes. And it's meant to be a rehabilitation system, but it doesn't always do that. And I don't think our film is even about pointing the finger, but I think the script really gets at the heart and core of what it is, you know, what we're doing to these young men, and not just the lives inside, but the lives outside. And it also read as like a shot of coffee and whiskey at the same time. I haven't done that, but if I did, I think that's our script. You know, I love when movies do that, when it can feel current, but also cinematic, like it's meant to be a thrill. And our film is often described as a punch in the face, which is, I think is a good thing. Yeah. You know, when I read a script, there's a massive part of interpreting what's on the page, and a lot of that you don't know how that's going to come about, right? Like, there's a part of it that you can connect with something emotionally but not quite get what's on the page, and there's a part of something where it's like every line is perfectly written, and then I often feel like I'm having to like bring myself as an actor up to that script and actually surpass it, because our job as actors is to, you know, it's ink on the page, we make it life, you know. So yeah, I mean, there's various ways that I kind of interpret scripts, but you know, somewhere in between that is a sweet spot. If it's neither for me, then it tends not to be the script for me. So, my first reaction to reading the script for Alien was, well, how about this? I remember my agent sent it through and she said, I think this is a great role for you. And the first line was, Dom, 20s, good looking in an awkward way. And that put me off, first of all, because come on, that's just a bit rude. But I read it and I just laughed from the first page to the last. It was a feeling that there was something that hadn't been seen on camera, weirdly, you know, a black love story set in Peckham. Weirdly, you think we've seen that before, but we just really hadn't. And I just felt like this was a moment to show that joy, that love, that openness. So it was an absolute love, like project full of love. So yeah, the first day on set for the long walk, I remember, you know, it was just a group of lads, you know, we were all feeling unprepared or underprepared for what we were about to do. And we shot that film chronologically, so we actually do start at the starting line and walk, and then 350 miles later, the movie ends. So it was exactly like that. I remember, you know, I put in some muscle to play him and feeling like, yeah, okay, right, I want him to look and feel like big. And then knowing the amount of walking I had to do, I was like, this is going to be harder. You know, it's hard to keep muscle on if you're walking constantly. So I felt underprepared. I remember looking at Cooper, who just genuinely was like, I might die doing this. Like, this is not the long walk. This is like my death if I'm not careful. But we wouldn't have had it any other way. I think that realism, when it can marry what is on the page, is like the sweet spot in acting. So I was so grateful for it. If we did that on the stage, it just wouldn't have been the long walk. Not for me anyway. So my first day on Alien Romulus was actually a scene with just myself and Kaylee, who I love from the bottom of my heart. You know, we shot that film chronologically as well. So it was us starting in like our like cell, and we were on these 2 bunk beds, and then we had like breakfast together. And obviously, if you've seen the movie, my character can't eat breakfast, so he's just there telling her dad jokes, which were written on the page, but I said, Freddie, let's get rid of this, let me give it a go. And I managed to make Katie laugh every single time with dad jokes. That's how funny I pretend to be. In real life, I'm not, but I was really proud of that being our first date. It just opened up this trust for us to like explore and play. I love that movie.
Reaction to hearing you've been cast in Alien Romulus?
Ferry has a different story about this, which is really annoying because he makes it sound like I was geeking out. I wasn't. So when I first got cast in Alien Romulus, I was look, I was really excited. It's this amazing character on the page. It's kind of twofold, but one of the same persons for me. And when I met Fede to talk about it, I said, man, if you're going to let me do this, you kind of got to let me go. I often feel like that as an actor, like you need to let me off the leash before you bring me back again. And I told him I'm going to get it wrong. I might go too far, but let me do it. And he said, I'm going to let you do that. I want you to do that. So I was just like, oh, thank God, he trusts me. But in his mind, I like threw my phone, like nerded out. Come on, man, I'm a little bit cooler than that. Just a fraction cooler than that.
The truth somewhere in the middle.
It's somewhere, yeah, exactly, yeah, just like I said, yeah.